Good afternoon. Thanks, everybody, for joining me today. This is Wendy Dietzler, and we're all here for the Speaker Update webcast. It's become an annual tradition for the Critical Facilities Summit. This is our 5th year and probably our 5th webcast, so I hope I've got this down to an exact science and we can get in and out pretty quickly, and also provide some good detailed background for everybody and answer any specific questions you've got. So we're going to hit it with just a quick intro. That's me. My contact information right here on the slide. I've also been in email contact with just about all of you. So please know that I respond to email and voicemail at any time. Whatever you guys need, just let me know. I try to send out regular communications, but nothing too regular so that you start blocking my email address. So again, please know it's a two-way street when it comes to communicating and having any questions answered for Critical Facilities Summit. Our questions that we might be asked today, we've got a little Q&A panel on the right-hand side of the screen. That's something you can just complete, and then when you send your question, I think you just send it to all panelists. I'll make sure I see it. The presentation that I'm providing today will be recorded and archived at our Critical Facility Summit speakers page, and we're also going to send a follow-up email today with these slides should you want to refer to them in the future. And here's our agenda for today. I'm going to talk a little bit about the Critical Facilities team, just so you kind of understand where we're coming from. There might be some familiar brands and events that you didn't know we were affiliated with, so I'll make those connections for you. I'm going to talk a little bit about who our CFS attendee is, give you kind of a more fleshed out background behind their level of expertise and their areas of focus. I'm going to talk specifically about the presentation and continuing education units and the deadlines that lie therein, some best practices for a great presentation, and also questions that you might have that we can answer for you. Let's talk a little bit about the CFS team and what we do. We are actually a two-company venture, the first one being Trade Press Media. And that's the team that has been in business for quite a long time now. I think we're approaching our century mark. We started in the print side of things, and you see a couple magazine covers right there in the middle of the screen, Building Operating Management and Facilities Maintenance Decisions. Those two are our flagship publications, and they address all facets of commercial facility management. Within the pages of Building Operating Management, we carve out a mission-critical focus every quarter, and that has been going on for about 8 to 10 years now. It's a great opportunity for us to take a deeper dive into the critical facility subject matter. We went from there to the online world with facilitiesnet.com and healthcarefacilitiestoday.com, two web portals that have both curated and unique original content, along with some forums, webcasts, directory listings, all sorts of information on a daily basis. We update and bring that news out. We also have our live events. NFMT is probably one that you might have heard of. That is our flagship live event, coming into our 17th or 18th year, I believe. And from that, we've spun out a few sister events, including NFMT Orlando, which is this November. So if you guys need a little vitamin D injection, please come on down to Orlando. We'd love to see you guys there. These are all broader conferences, websites, and magazines that really focus on, as I mentioned, all facets of facility management. When we decided to go into some of our live event space, we knew we needed a strong partner that could really produce a top-notch show. So we decided to partner with Rock Exhibitions. It's been almost 20 years of marriage, and we're very happy with them. They're based out of Lisle, Illinois, right down the street from our Milwaukee, Wisconsin headquarters. They manage dozens and dozens of conferences every year, but two that you might be familiar with are the NFPA Conference and Expo and the DRI, Disaster Response International Professional Conference. So they have expertise in making the show work, but they also know what we do, and they relate well to it because of some of their other partnerships and conferences that they manage. I keep left-clicking. So here we are with Critical Facilities Summit. I think I've had the pleasure of working with a great deal of you, but I know for some of you this is your first rodeo with CFS, so I'll give you a quick overview and just some of the basics. We are in Minneapolis at the Minneapolis Convention Center from October 23rd to the 25th. That's a Monday through Wednesday. We're anticipating about 500 attendees, more than 100 exhibitors, and we are topping out at more than 40 sessions. That's a lot to cram into 2.5 days, but we've done it before and we'll certainly do it again. We spent the first 4 years of Critical Facilities existence down in Charlotte, North Carolina. It was a great place to get started, get our feet wet. There was a lot of corridor activity there in the data center world, and we're starting to see that activity come into other markets. Minneapolis makes a ton of sense from that perspective, and not only do we have a very strong colo activity happening there, a lot of builds taking place, it's also a great area for life sciences, hospitals, and labs. And because Critical Facilities encompass all of those things, we wanted to get into a city like Minneapolis that really represented all those areas as well as they do. So the attendee for CFS, who is it? Why are they there? Well, we just talked about what a mission-critical building is, and that's the data center, that's the hospital, the lab, the trading floor, any kind of building that has that 100% 24/7 operational imperative. They've got to be up, they've got to be online. The people that manage these buildings, they're experienced, they understand what it takes to be on a mission-critical facility staff. They might be an operator, they might be an architect, they could be an engineer, or they might be somebody who designs and builds a mission-critical facility. They all have some level of expertise, so their range of titles is going to be on the higher end rather than the lower. We've got vice presidents, directors, managers, chief engineer, engineer, specifying engineer. One thing they share in common is they're always looking for better ways to do things. And in the case of many of our attendees, they're looking for better ways to manage their buildings, and that can be everything from a cost to an energy to a security perspective. And they're also looking for better ways to manage their staff. I'm sure we have all sat in some session or another at a data center or a critical facilities conference and heard about human error and how that really is the leading cause of downtime. So that staff management is something that they really are building their programs around. They have a lot of curiosity, and that's why they're more than a little curious about this cloud and colo boom. Minneapolis has seen a massive growth in the colo explosion in their area, and that's due to, quite frankly, some great tax incentives and Minneapolis and the state of Minnesota wanting to woo this lucrative market into their state. But that does have an impact on enterprise data centers and the people who manage them. They've got to try to figure out what this means for them, what the new balance is going to look like, what kind of blend they're going to have between their enterprise and maybe some cloud and colo within their own organizational data center environment. And, as always, they're wondering how, why, when to connect with IT. We talk a lot about that in the pages of Building Operating Management magazine and online at facilitiesnet.com. Thankfully and fortunately, we've been able to cultivate some great case studies about how those relationships can really generate great results for an organization when the FM and the IT and a critical facility come together. So we're really excited to share a lot of that information with our attendees going forward. So we've talked a little about what CFS is. Let's talk about what it isn't, what makes CFS stand apart from some of our other events out there in the marketplace. We're really focused on critical facility infrastructure. We're not talking about software. We're not talking strictly IT. We're talking about the people who make the buildings work every day, who keep the buildings running every day, and who get the keys from the architects and the builders and keep them going. We talk about data centers, hospitals, labs, trading floors. Again, that 7/24 uptime imperative. We've got great support through our publication and our other online products. And we also make sure that there's plenty of time throughout each day at critical facilities for great networking. One thing that we've seen in our 4+ years at our live event is that the conversations that happen in between some of our conference sessions and in between the aisles in the expo hall are just as valuable as what they learn hearing from you and then hearing from our exhibitors. It really is a big part of the mix. and we encourage both our exhibitors and our speakers to do just as much networking as our attendees are doing. Everybody really wins. So the last, but not the least, that makes CFS different, and in my humble opinion better, are speakers. That's you, and it's a great opportunity for me to say thank you to all of you, not just for being here today, but for your dedication to this industry and for your willingness to bring your expertise to our audience. There is no substitute for face-to-face learning, for face-to-face networking, and for those aha moments that so many of our attendees say they get when they're sitting in a session at CFS and they hear something that makes that click right within their wheelhouse. They hear something, they know they can take it right from that room back to their office and apply it to their facility and make a difference. And that's what you do, so we really appreciate that. So here's how we say thank you. What you'll get as a CFS speaker, and here's the #1 thing I want you guys to remember. You get a comped registration to the summit, the entire summit. That's all sessions, all meal and networking functions, and the expo hall. We will have a badge for you at the summit, so you don't need to register separately. Want to make sure that that is clear. You might, from time to time, get a marketing email from another part of our building that says, hey, don't forget to sign up for critical facilities, and here's a special registration opportunity. Ignore them because in your case, as a CFS speaker, you are not required to register separately. We will provide you that full AV kit. So when you walk into your conference room at the Minneapolis Convention Center, you're going to get your laptop. There'll be a screen set up for you. You'll have a wireless advancer so you can move around. You will have a lavalier mic so you can move around. And then we have tech support because we know most of the time nothing goes wrong, but in those rare instances when something doesn't load or the microphone gives out or a battery pack runs low, we've got support there to fix it quickly and get you right back into your presentation environment. Our speaker ready room is open all 3 days of the conference, and we will always have it staffed. So there will be somebody there to show you where the coffee is, make sure you grab a cookie on your way in or out. There will also be a laptop and a printer, and it'll be internet connected so that if you need to do something like reprint some slides, if you need to check in and print out your boarding pass, that's fine. If you need to send a quick email or just have an opportunity to run through your presentation, it's there for you. The speaker ready room, as I said, is going to be open all 3 days. And because we have somebody in there at all times, if you drop off a laptop or a backpack while you go and give your presentation, that's not a problem. We'll alert you to when the room closes every day. Usually closes between the hours of 4 and 5. We do have a professional photographer come and photograph the entire event, and she is, in my opinion, one of the best. It's just a joy to be able to share some of her work. And you saw some of her work on that previous page with our 3 speakers highlighted. That information will get to you. It usually takes about 2 to 4 weeks after the show, but we go through them and tag the ones that she's taken of our speakers, and we email them over with our evaluations of your session. I did see a question just pop in I'm going to address right now, and that question is, can we personally film our event? Absolutely. Definitely. You can Facebook Live the event. We love the access. So go ahead, and if that works, we from time to time do capture some sessions in their entirety. We do have a great videographer on staff, and there is sometimes great value in capturing some of that content in the classroom environment. If your session is one of those sessions that is filmed, we'll let you know in advance. If there are, again, if there's interest in having your own assistant or you yourself film your event, we are more than happy to allow that. And then we get down to the real value here. There's a reception on Monday night right there in the expo hall. That's part of your ticket, as well as breakfast and lunch on Tuesday and Wednesday, and again, those great snacks in the speaker ready room. So we try to keep you fed and happy, and really what we want to make sure you do, is, as much as your schedule provides, is participate throughout. We want to make it easy for you, and we know the value that you bring, not just at the podium, but just within the whole event itself. So please spend as much time as you'd like and as much time as you can with our event. That speaker ready room is yours even on the days you're not speaking. Go ahead, have a seat, strike up a conversation, grab a cup of coffee. We're just glad you're here. So this is what we'd like you to provide as a CFS speaker. The photo and bio, I believe I have from almost all of our CFS presenters. Do go on to criticalfacilitysummit.com, click on the presenters link, and just scroll down until you see your name. You guys are all there alphabetically. First of all, if you don't see your name there, let me know. Second of all, if you see your name but no photo, send me a photo, high resolution if you possibly can. And third, if you click on your name and you don't see a bio, get me that information as well. For the most part, as I said, I think I've got everybody's, just with a few exceptions. So it's just really great information for our attendees to see, and it really helps flesh out, you know, your level of expertise and what you're bringing to the session. Next up on that list are 4 true-false CEU questions. I'll go over that in greater detail in a little while. I will say that CEU, or continuing education units, are a big part of why people put such a high value on those live conferences. So we ask each of our presenters to develop 4 questions with true-false answers that our attendees will access after the event. And that allows them to, once they receive a passing grade, get actual CEU credit for attending the class. And those CEUs are used for state licenses to maintain specific designations, or it goes into their attendee file so that when they go in for their annual review, they can point to the investment they made in educating themselves and in helping to further their understanding of their field. A badge and AV order form, again, I'll show you that in a few minutes, but that is, again, your path to critical facilities, as well as an AV order form. If there's something besides what I outlined on that AV kit that you need or you want to make sure our AV team has on hand for you, let us know, and then we can talk it through with our AV team and make sure all those pieces are in place for you. Your 60-minute presentation will be due on September 22nd. That's about a month before the event, and I know that for some of you who send in that 60-minute presentation on September 22nd, you might see something change in your field that requires you to update that presentation. That's fine. That's why we ask you also to bring your presentation on flash drive to the event. That way we can either go with the 60-minute presentation that you provided, or you've got your updated presentation on flash drive. But we do ask for both of those things. Now you see little asterisks over that true-false questions, 60-minute presentation, and presentation on flash drive. That's because there are a couple of you in the audience today who are doing panel sessions. Those are not quite the same animal as a formatted presentation as some of you are doing. So panel sessions, we will address as we get a little closer to the event, best way to develop those true-false questions as well as those slides. That's something that usually is a bit of a team effort. Okay, so let's go back to the CEU questions. That's the September 1st deadline. It's one of the first deadlines you guys are faced. That's how you know summer is over. They're going to be based on your presentation. You need 4 of them, and the answers are just simply true, false. There's a form on the CFS speakers page, and I've kind of given you a little screenshot of it so you can see what it looks like. The link in orange right at the bottom of this page is where you'll find this information. Once you complete it, you will submit it to Gina Rudella. Her email is right there, and it's on the form as well. She is kind of the, well, she's not kind of, she is the clearinghouse for all of our CEU information. That goes into a big database that we share with our registration services provider so they can put that assessment page together for all of our attendees. One thing we do want to make sure is that you remember to indicate which answer is correct, which is the true, which is the false, because that really is something you don't want me guessing on. Trust me. All right. Here's another screenshot. This is the next form we talked about earlier. It's the badge and AV order form. Again, go to that orange link at the bottom of this slide, and you'll be able to complete that. That's completely online. That just goes right to us via email. It is your path to CFS, so again, don't register any other way. Use the speaker badge to make your to get your badge filled out. And then that's where you can also list any additional AV needs beyond that kit that we talked about. So that's what you have to do on September 1, and you're kind of in the free and clear for about 21 glorious days. Next is your CFS presentation later in the month of September. This information will become a PDF form that we will provide to all attendees. We'll basically create a online presentations page on the Critical Facilities website. It will be password protected, so basically only attendees can get to this information. But this will allow them to view your presentation, download your presentation, take notes on the presentation as they are viewing it, helps us cut down on paper, be a little more sustainable. Also gives people an opportunity to access presentations they might not have had a chance to sit in on. In some cases, they have to choose between two great presentations taking place at the same time. This way, they can at least have slides for both of those presentations, even if they couldn't sit in on both of them. And I just want to make sure everybody's clear that this is a PDF form. We don't share PowerPoint presentations. We make sure that they are locked down and they can't be altered in any way. That said, we do understand there are some copyright or confidentiality issues that not everybody's comfortable sharing all of those details in their slides. If that's the case, feel free to provide me with a handout-friendly one with some of that sensitive information removed, and we'll make sure that's the one that is shared. It's a really big benefit to our attendees to have as much of those presentation materials as possible, but we certainly understand that it isn't always possible. There's a template for PowerPoints on the CFS speakers page. That's that orange link that I've been sharing with you for the last few pages. Just a couple points there. The learning objectives, we want to make sure those are on the second slide, and the template itself will prompt you to put those in there. You can just go right to the CFS website, criticalfacilitiesummit.com, click on your presentation. Those learning objectives are included in your summary. So go ahead and cut and paste if that's easier. We like big graphics and text. You know, some of you have all been in the convention center environment, I'm sure. Those are areas where sometimes lighting isn't great, where somebody might be sitting at an angle to the screen, somebody might be sitting in the back row. I don't know what it is about human nature that makes us all sit in the back, but that's what we do. So those bigger graphics, bigger text font sizes are always better. And even if that means you add a few pages to your presentation, that's not a problem. If you do have any disclaimers in terms of copyright information or that you are a vendor, go ahead and include that. It's something that, you know, we leave to your discretion. But we certainly also encourage you to grab a small logo of your own, your company's logo. You can throw it onto a lower corner of the slide. Right now, if you look on the slide, there's the number 14 in the lower right-hand corner in green. That can easily be replaced with your company's logo. We understand that there is a benefit to presenting, and we want people to have a good connection with the presenter and the expertise and where they're coming from. And then on your final slide, your contact information can go there. So as people are viewing your presentation in real time, they've got that information, but later when they're downloading those PDFs, that presentation is there again. It's your calling card. Okay, here's the tough one. Here's what we can't give you. You give us, we give you, but what we can't provide is attendee data. In other words, who's in your room. You'll see people entering the conference sessions, and you'll see us scanning their attendee badges. That data is used solely for CEU purposes. So that data basically tells us, okay, Wendy went to the DCIM session at 9 a.m., so go ahead and send her an email asking her to take that CEU assessment so she gets credit for going. That is something that we work with our CEU accrediting authority, and they require, because of privacy standards imposed by ANSI, that we don't share that data. So it's a very long way of saying we can't give you guys attendee lists for the people who are in your room. But that doesn't mean we don't want you to know who's in your room. So here's what you should do. Gather attendee business cards. We tell our attendees over and over and over again, bring your business cards. So we really want them to share that information. Have a stack of your own cards out on a table or hand them out to people as they approach you after the podium. You can have a sign-in sheet, as long as it's optional. You can basically put a sheet down at the front of the room or the back of the room saying, hey, if you want more information or if you want to stay in touch, just give me your name and email. That's fine. And again, that contact information in your slide deck on that final slide, it's a great calling card. Now, here are ways that you can get a little more involved in promoting your participation at our event. We do a lot. We've got our own website, obviously, as you know. We've got a very robust social media approach to the event, and we will only press harder on that accelerator as we get closer to the event. We do a lot of email marketing, but there's more that we know can benefit. So here are some options. We've got our Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn groups. We'd love for you guys to go ahead and utilize all of those platforms. We would love it if you wanted to create a custom HTML custom HTML email. Now, this isn't something that we can send out, but we can create an actual HTML piece that we would then send to you that you can push out through your contacts. So right now, there's an example on the page of one that we did a while back for one of our speakers at NFMT Vegas. And it provides information about your session, what it is, when it's taking place, but it also has got your photo and then maybe a small blurb about what you're looking forward to or what you are going to focus on as you share this information on site at Critical Facility Summit. Just a different way to invite your contacts and your email universe into Critical Facility, come see you and hear more about the topic that you're speaking on. So I'm already at the summary phase. That's pretty good. I'm checking my time here. And then I'll get to some of these questions that came in. So the big orange URL is really where you want to be. It's at criticalfacilitysummit.com. If you click on conference and then for speakers, you are in, or you can go right to this link. When you're there, you'll see all the forms. You'll see the Badge and CEU form. You will see your template, and you will see these key deadlines. While you're at the site, go ahead and click around a little bit. Make sure your session is listed the way you'd like it. Make sure you see the time and date so you've got that down, and then make sure your photo is there and your bio. Any of those things need any changes, or if you have any questions, just get in touch with me. It's usually a really quick fix, and even if you sent me a photo of yourself today, you'd see it up on the website either this afternoon or first thing tomorrow morning. We like to be pretty quick about those things. All right, so it's time for questions, and there's a couple here. I think one of the questions came in, is it required or suggested that you share slides with attendees? Again, we understand sometimes it is not, it's just not feasible because of confidentiality or because of some sensitive information. So we would love it if you can. If you can't, we understand. We just need to know. And our attendees understand that as well. We let them know that we are sharing as many of the presentations as possible with them. So those presentations will be shared. We don't share them until event time. So in other words, you guys get us those presentations on September 22. We don't send that out until just prior to or just at the time of the event because we just don't see a value in having people get that information until they're right in that event space and right in the environment of the live conference. People have been asking about those ways to promote the session and drive participation. I'll send you guys back to that sharing page. This information is yours for the taking. If there is interest in the HTML invitation, email me and I will connect you with our marketing team and we'll get you that content rather quickly. It should only take about 5 days or so for us to get those things slotted in and out to you. This information will be, this entire presentation will be shared 2 ways. So if anybody is interested in seeing it again or hearing it again or just seeing the slides, you'll receive an email from messenger@webex.com probably within the next little while. That will have some of our deadlines again, the link to the speakers page, a link to the slides in PDF format, as well as the archive itself. One thing I wanted to mention about this deck, this is the deck that I'm using right now is is the deck that you'll use as well. So you can see that we've got a nice amount of white space and hopefully not a lot of need for you guys to do much changing of it. There are a couple different slide options in the template itself, so go ahead and click through those and hopefully everything will fit the way you need it to. But we know sometimes you got to get a little creative. There's a question here about journalists and media being invited to the event and if an attendee media list will be shared with speakers. I can easily share that, and I'd be happy to share that with anybody. Just let me know. Usually those lists don't firm up until a couple weeks before the event. As a media company ourselves, Trade Press will be sending, obviously, Building Operating Management and our healthcarefacilitiestoday.com editors. So we'll have some staff as well as some of our media partners, including Mission Critical Magazine and several others that we're working with. So we're definitely looking to invite as many journalists and media members of the media to the event as possible. If there are people you would like us to invite, let us know, but we certainly are making this conference completely accessible to the press. All right. I think I've gotten through all the questions, but I know sometimes there's a few lingering ones, and I will just close up in a minute, but before I do, I don't know if anybody recognizes the cherry and the spoon, but that's an iconic sculpture right on the outskirts of Minneapolis. We're really looking forward to being in this city, and I'm really looking forward to being there with all of you. So what I'm going to do is just let this image sit for a minute. I'll come back in about 60 seconds. If there are no more questions, we'll close things out. If there are more questions, we'll take care of them at that time. So I'll be back in just a moment. All right, I think we've gotten to the end of our questions, but again, my contact information is right there. Don't hesitate to call me. I will be in touch again over the next few weeks with just some email updates, but I'd love to hear from all of you. So go ahead and let me know if there's anything else I didn't cover. This information will be online shortly, and you will get that update, email update from messenger@webex.com. So until we speak again, have a great day, and thank you so much for your time now, and thank you so much for your commitment and support of Critical Facilities. I look forward to seeing you in Minneapolis this October. Have a great day.